Right. Call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Serving Johnson County, Texas. Joco Community Radio.
Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Home, a place where I can go to take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Lord, I didn't power through the struggle just to let a little trouble knock me out of my position and interrupt the vision.
Having trouble there?
I'm having a little trouble this morning.
Okay.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Real Estate Reality with Diana Roberts, EXP, the Cliff Freeman Group, one of the realtors out here in Johnson County, DFW area.
Let's go.
All right. And I have got with me another awesome. Wait, are you a broker yet? You're not a broker.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify.
Not
I wasn't
yet.
sure. Not yet.
I haven't
but you're
broken
getting there.
that rule yet.
I know. Me either. Not yet. So will you introduce yourself for us, please? Tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'm Jason Bagley, local Burleson guy. Love to eat food and hang out in the area. And I'm a real estate agent as well with Real Broker here in the Metroplex. And so Innovate Group is the name of our real estate team, and I love it.
I love that name
job.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I love that, you have another show too. Don't you have a show that you do?
Well, I don't have a show.
Okay.
I do have a YouTube called YDFW, and we just kind of explore food and things to do in the Metroplex and just have a lot of fun. Yeah, that's good.
All right. I know I haven't seen one yet. I need to.
Well, we're kind of getting restarted. We used to have Joco Eats back in the day, and it was hard to get done because having a a radio show it's hard as a real estate agent. So I don't have time for it. Like so I have to do it when I can.
Yeah.
And so that's why we kind of went the vlog type thing where we can record it and put it out there later.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't feel like it is, but what do you do?
Well, I'm a foodie too. So I absolutely am. I love going to different places and checking out new places and new food. And, because then I can, of course I can tell my clients, hey, if you're looking for somewhere to eat in this area, that's where you should go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that too. It's a funny thing. Like I met with Lisa Boltinghouse from the Center for ASD a couple of Friday. It was not last Friday, but Friday before. Yeah. And we haven't put it out yet because I'm still editing it. It's actually what I got to do today. Anyway, that's a whole different bell. Anyway, so what I really love about food is you can get with anybody. I don't care what belief structures you have, and you put yourself with some good food, everybody can enjoy it. And people open up around the table.
Yes.
And so I think that's kind of the mood we did. We have a thing called Last Bite. And that's what Lisa and I were doing, is a thing called Last Bite. And it's essentially, hey, what do you want your legacy to be? What are you about? And then we have a bite of food, one bite of really food that's probably not good for you, but it was tasty. So.
Oh, I know.
We had
that's
hummingbird
the hard part.
cake. You ever had hummingbird cake?
No. Sounds interesting.
It's really good.
Oh,
It's really
okay.
good. Yeah, you need to watch.
I will watch that, and I might have to go check it out.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about, the empathy and empathy versus sympathy when it comes to being an agent and working with buyers and sellers. And also, I wanted to talk. I know you and I had talked about this previously about what's going on with realtors today. And I thought that might be interesting to also kind of hear some of your point of views on that.
Yeah.
I would love to if you're open to it.
Sure, I'm happy to.
All right.
I might make some enemies along the way, but that's okay. That's not be my first rodeo with that. So that's
Right.
okay.
Well, haters make us famous.
I guess.
I don't know. That's a saying. I don't know if it's exactly true, but
infamous or famous, doesn't matter which, something like that.
Right. Yes. I like that.
No publicity is bad publicity.
That's right. Because we all have our own opinions and our own truth. And I feel like we need to be able to express that. That's what I was talking about.
Our own truth. Man, we could have a whole show about our own truth.
I did actually just a little bit ago. That was on my positivity toolbox.
Oh my goodness.
Have you read The Fifth Agreement?
No.
Oh, it's a good one.
No. If there's something called My Truth, I probably wouldn't read it.
Why is that?
There's no such thing as my truth. There's only truth or not the truth.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think there is your truth. When you actually search yourself, you figure out who you are. And within your own self, you're figuring out your truth, your version of who, and you create your reality.
But that has nothing to do with truth.
You don't think so?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I want to hear that. Well, I mean, should we?
That's
maybe
a
I need to
totally
have you.
different show.
All right, we'll have you on Positivity Toolbox.
Show.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Talk about what I would love to hear your points of view on some of that with the
sympathy and empathy.
Yeah,
thing?
Absolutely. Working with buyers and sellers,
it can be really hard, and I don't think this is necessarily just real estate. I think anybody that's in sales, which I think everybody is in some form of sales. If you're a preacher, you're selling Jesus. If you're, it doesn't matter.
True.
But I think that, sympathy can be really challenging for a salesperson, because you can actually prevent somebody from going the direction they need to go by getting emotional with them.
Yes.
I really feel like what we do, there's too many people that are involved in the emotional aspect of the purchase of a home. This is one of the most expensive investments that you can possibly have in your lifetime. For most people, 95% of all people, they will never ever spend money more than they do on their house.
Absolutely.
And yet they'll buy things emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they wouldn't do that with their stock portfolio. They wouldn't be like, oh, I just think that Apple is so fun. Like, I really like the logo. Yeah. I would hope not anyway. Right?
I would hope not too.
Right. But people do that with houses.
Yes, that's true.
And so I think as agents, we have to be really, really, the challenge is, as you're talking about, is does that danger the sale? Does it danger what your position is as a fiduciary? I don't know. I can't answer that question. What do you think sympathy and empathy are first, I guess?
Well, so sympathy and empathy, I think, like when you're sympathetic to somebody, you're definitely feeding into their emotions, right? Mm-hmm. And you're allowing your emotions to get involved into it. And then empathy is just being, I feel more understanding in the situation.
Okay.
But still being able to, be a professional.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's kind of how I would view it as from what I've experienced with being with and working with buyers and sellers.
Okay. Let's see what the
actual definition. Yes, yeah. Let's do that.
I mean, what does Webster say? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
Right.
Well, should you do that as a real estate agent?
I don't feel like you should.
Okay. Sympathy says the feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune, or understanding between people, common feeling. The special sympathy between the two boys was obvious to all. So this is more along feelings of pity.
Right.
I don't think that pity necessarily helps anybody either, but
no.
I think what you're getting at is, and do you think this is important? I'll ask you this question.
Yes, please. I love this.
Do you think it's important to hear somebody out, even if it's absolutely obnoxiously ridiculous? Like, I just cannot stand that wallpaper. Like, how many times have you heard, I hate that wallpaper. I hate that paint color.
Yeah, so many times.
Right?
Yeah.
So should you be like, well, you could paint it a different color. Would you do that?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I have said, I was like, well, I mean, that's not forever. You can take that off, open. And I'll tell them too, when I walk into a house, I'm always looking at what the possibilities
Sure.
of and what the opportunities of this house can be. If you love everything else about the house and it's just the wallpaper, that can be changed, right?
It can. Here's the thing.
Okay.
And I think this kind of shares with both values that we're talking about. People have a feeling about things.
Yeah.
And so how we respond to that, not necessarily in sympathy or empathy, but how we respond to that can be advantageous as to help them get where they need to go by them finding the answer instead of you. You give them the answer, then you're a solution provider. You're not a fiduciary, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me
I
ask
see
you this.
that.
If somebody says, oh, I think that kitchen's too small, you could say, well, you could break out this wall and there's plenty of room to do this. That's what most people do as salespeople, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's the problem.
Okay.
What if they don't have that energy to do that?
Yeah. Or they don't have the means.
So you've just literally like overspoken what they want, because it's not about what you want, right? It's about what they want.
We're true.
So in those two instances, I'm going to give you examples of what I think would be a better way to handle that. Now, everybody's got their own opinion, as you said.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the truth, but they have their own opinion about how to handle things.
Yeah.
And so I'll ask you, which is better? Oh, I hate this wallpaper. It is absolutely atrocious. This wallpaper comes off pretty easily. I have a vendor that can do it for you. It probably costs $500. Okay, that's answer one.
Okay.
Answer two is, oh my gosh, this wallpaper is awful. Really? You don't like it? No. What would you do to fix that?
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so simple.
Right? It's just a question. But
Yeah.
what happened is the difference is you gave them an answer
Yeah.
that they could disagree with or agree with.
Right.
But if you ask them a question, the answer that they give is only one that they can agree with. It's either, well, I ain't going to mess with that, which helps you because you're not trying to jack with a house they're not going to buy.
Yeah.
Or they say, well, I could take it down, or there's a wallpaper I like. Suddenly they've come up with their own solution that you didn't have to come up with, which would have been the same solution, by the way.
Right.
But you didn't have to tell them what they already knew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Same thing with the kitchen, right? So the kitchen's like, oh, the kitchen's too small. Okay. Well, how would you overcome that? Well, I mean, it's not so bad that you'll find answers like that. They'll be like, well, it's not so bad that I couldn't just, work with it. I mean, there's the rest of the house is just amazing, but this kitchen's just, I don't know if I can get over it. Okay. So is that a deal breaker for you? Yeah, it's a
Yes.
deal breaker for me. Okay, perfect. Let's move on.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is, and agents do this all the time, you spend way too much time trying to get somebody to buy something they have no interest in buying. Or the opposite is also true, where you think they're done with a house when they aren't. So at the end of the day, no matter whether or not they're going to make their decision, but if you limit them by telling them what can and can't be done, they may not ever buy that because you told them what could be done instead of them figuring out what could be done.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
I really like that. I'm going to start using that,
Do
to be
it.
honest,
Use
because
it.
I feel like that is a way better approach
Sure.
in utilizing, their understanding, right?
Mhm.
And not allowing yourself, like you said, like, I don't want my feelings to be in this. And
Yeah.
I tell that to my clients a lot. This is not about me. This is about what you
Right.
want. This is about where you want to go, how much money you want to spend. This isn't about me.
So the challenge we have as real estate agents, I think most real estate agents really feel that way.
Yeah.
The problem is that we have an emotional investment in our clients. We care about them. A lot of them are
Yes.
friends. They're people that we look at and say, you know what, how can I get them where they want to go?
Right.
And so there's an emotional investment there. But if we're not careful, our emotions become part of the buying process. And
Yeah.
so that's what I mean by, is sympathy and empathy a worthwhile situation. But we can do that by approaching them with questions rather than answers.
Yeah.
I think you can get far more accomplished with a question than you can with an answer as a real estate agent.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's funny that you say that, because when I was in the car business, that's what we were taught. We were taught to ask the questions,
Mhm.
and so it's funny that I didn't really take that and use it in the very beginning of my real estate career.
Absolutely. The thing about it is all sales, I really believe this. All sales really come down to a few things, and it's character and integrity.
Yes.
And making sure that people understand getting past their emotions or allowing them to live on them. Because some people, I don't care what you do, they're going to buy and sell by emotion because that's just the way they are. And there are people that would buy Apple products simply because they love the fact that it has a bit Apple out of it.
Mm-hmm.
They just do.
Yeah.
It's the same people that pick the winners on the pool because the Eagles fly and the Cowboys ride, so the Eagles can come down and swoop down on them, or some ridiculous thing like that. But
right.
And then they win because all the knowledge you have in the world does not overcome luck. So
that's true. That's very true. So I love that insight. So what are some other things that you feel that, could be done differently with realtors in this industry?
Okay, I'm going to address one. I just did a video about this. So if you see this video, yes, I already made it. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of, and I think this is for sellers, especially if you have a home and you're thinking about selling.
Yeah.
You need to be careful of realtors that do this. Oh yeah, we can totally sell it for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
instead of doing the research is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
So
and my own truth thinks that it can sell for $330,000. Now everything else in the whole neighborhood has sold for $300,000 for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. But you as a seller, you're like, I want to get as much as I can out of this thing. Right.
Right. Of course. They always do.
Of course. Well,
yeah,
who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Absolutely.
Who doesn't?
When you sell your car, it's the same thing.
Right. And so here's the problem. Agents know this, and there are people, and I'm not saying all agents are like this, but there's an unfortunate amount of people that are willing to tell somebody what they want to hear just to get the opportunity to sell the house because they know that they've got a 6-month contract.
Yeah.
And 2.5 months from now, they're going to get to the price where it'll actually sell.
Right.
The problem is that agents and sellers need to know this. Consumers need to know this. You will sell your house for less than you could have if you'd have just sold it for the price that the agent knew what the price was supposed to be.
Right.
And you've probably done it in the first 2 to 4 weeks that you had the house for sale. That's just the plain and simple truth of it. Pricing a house is a bit of an art form.
Yes.
And there's a mathematical portion to it as well.
Absolutely.
So we have to look at the time of year. Mm-hmm. We have to look at what's sold in the neighborhood in the last 30 days, what's sold in the last 90 days. If there hasn't been anything sold in a long time, are you out in the country? Or are you in the city? There's so many aspects to it that if you just go, well, I saw on Zillow, you're talking about Zillow. I saw on Zillow that they sold that house for $475,000. Well, guess what? They didn't.
No.
That's what Zillow says because Zillow's got the for sale amount that was on there originally.
Right. Not what
it actually sold for.
Yeah.
And so you have no idea what that house sold for unless you go to an agent, and that agent happens to have integrity and character to tell you what the real number is.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, if that house sold for that, there may have been a magic moron that I love to call them magic morons. Magic morons that come along and pay too much for stuff.
Right.
And we had a lot of that in 2021.
We did. It definitely shifted the market for us. For sure.
Well, it changed people's idea of what selling a house looked like.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so
because they saw it selling they saw these prices, they saw it selling for that. And it's like, well, look, this was a whole different ballgame. We're in a whole different market right now.
But if we think that only changed the way sellers think, then you've missed the point, because there are so many agents that were in that time frame.
Right.
If you dropped a pin, you could sell a house.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, listen, I'll take 1%. Well, sure, you're going to take 1% because you ain't going to have to do a darn thing.
Yeah.
And that dude's going to sell. Now, that same agent in today's market is going to sell it for 1% as well. The problem is they aren't even going to do anything for it.
Right.
But you can't do that in this market anymore. No. You have to get out there and you have to hustle.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, we talked about some of your listings. I mean, these aren't listings that just get sold anymore. I don't care how nice they are.
Right.
You got to get out there and hustle, and you have to know how to sell these things properly, how to price them properly.
Right.
And that's why we have 6 agents leaving the market every hour right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't committed to the actual process. They were committed to the money that they were making.
Right.
Right.
Right. Instead of actually wanting to work for their client.
Yeah. Which goes back to that, agents who sell the listing. They're selling the listing. They're not selling the house.
Right.
And what I mean by that is they go in, they overprice the house. They say they're going to take 2% instead of 3%.
Yep.
And you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to make more money. Listen, if somebody's willing to take less money for their services, they're willing to do whatever it takes to sell your house for less, as long as they get their money. I'm not saying everybody's like that.
Right.
But you need to understand that if somebody's willing to discount their rate, they're willing to discount anything else that comes along too. Maybe they don't work as hard. Maybe they don't show up at the Thursday morning breakfast to see if anybody has a buyer. Maybe they're not reaching out to their sphere of influence, finding out if anybody's going on. Maybe they're not doing the advertising on Facebook and Google that they need to be doing.
Right.
Are they hiring the right person to take the pictures? If it's a $40,000 house, are they still hiring somebody to take the pictures?
Right.
If they're not, are they committed to the actual journey of selling a house, or are they just committed to the price of selling the house?
It's true. It's true.
These are hard things. It's hard things to say, and it's hard things to hear as real estate agents.
Yeah. No, it is.
Because even if you are committed, you don't realize that you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. And I think that needs to be a shift. It needs to be a shift. If you really want to do this, you really need to be able to put forth the work and put forth the effort.
Yeah.
100%.
I'll tell you another thing that we run across, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
and I want to ask you a
please.
question about this.
Yes, please.
When you're in a transaction, what do you think that the job of the 2 realtors is?
Within the transaction, once you're in the transaction.
Period. You have a buyer and a seller.
Okay.
Represented by real estate agents. You're not even in the transaction yet. What is the job of the buyer's agent? What is the job of the seller's agent?
Well, the buyer's agent is to bring the buyer to the selling agent, bring an offer if that's what the client wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the selling agent needs to present that right away to the client and go over it with the client and see what the client wants to do. And it's the client's decision at that point. If they decide they want to take the offer, now you are contacting the buyer and you're presenting the signed offer. And now you're going and presenting it to the title company, and you're making sure the earnest and the option money are getting delivered to the title company. There's a lot of things that you have to continue to do throughout that whole process to make sure it's going smoothly. And also find out who the lender is. Find out if they, you got to definitely make sure they have a pre-approval letter. I should have said that needs to come with the offer. Because if you don't have a pre-approval letter with the offer, you should be questioning that.
Sure.
Right off the bat. And then, I even like to sometimes go as far as contacting the lender and determining, hey, is this is this closing date, really going to be able to be our closing date? How confident do you feel, or how much have you already invested in this pre-approval with this client to make sure they can buy the property? I feel like sometimes that's important too. I feel like I do that because I've been burned before with that process. There was a lender that wasn't communicating very well with what was happening with the sale of that person's house. So I may have gone too far. Sorry.
No.
Am I good?
Keep going.
Okay. And
it's a radio show. You're supposed to talk.
Right. That's true. I just didn't want to take away from what you were trying to say or scroll off. I do that sometimes. No. But yeah, so the lender wasn't communicating very much throughout the process. And then that lender became that buyer went to a different lender in the middle of their transaction and that was the buyer that was buying my seller's property. And that was terrible experience.
Absolutely. Had that happen last month.
Oh yeah. See, yeah, I remember we did talk about that. And so I feel like it's important to know the lender and have communication with the lender, or make sure the lender's communicating with you too, because that is you have the right to do that. I feel as a listing agent to have that conversation and be able to also know what's going on with the lending side as well for your seller.
Okay. I didn't hear you talk too much about the relationship that the two agents have.
Oh, okay. Yes. So there needs to be communication between you and the buyer's agent 100%. You both need to know what's going on, when it's going on. You need to be able to be in communication with one another. I do feel that's very huge. And to make sure that you respond back to them. You know, I feel like there's a lot of times where there's a lack of communication between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not.
Why do you think that exists?
I think because, either they're too busy and they're just not taking the time, or I don't know. Maybe there hasn't been. I like to build a rapport with everybody that I work with.
Okay.
I do. I like to have a relationship with them. I like to know how they work. So I feel like I communicate with them as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that most agents are like that?
I would say no. I have experienced a lot of lack of that.
Do you think that's detrimental to the process or incremental?
I feel like it can be very detrimental, actually. Especially if they're not presenting you with that information, like the buyer's agent, for instance, with that previous one that I was speaking of. The lack of communication was she wasn't telling me what was going on with all that lending stuff. I had to find out through the actual agent who referred that buyer from out of state to that agent.
100%.
I was talking more to the person out of state, that agent, than the agent that was working with me.
Sure.
And they were giving me the information I needed versus that one.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel is very detrimental. And that's why that whole thing went really badly.
And typically, if it's going to go badly, that's where it is. So I would say to buyers and sellers, one of the questions you can ask your real estate agent is, what is your job with the other agent involved?
Yeah.
If they say, look, I'm here to get you the very most for your house, no matter what, and I don't care about those people. They're just somebody. Right. You need to be concerned. And the reality is the concern comes from this. Where are we at as a society if we can't communicate properly with each other? Right. The second question is, are they going to create animus between them and the other agent, such that the other agent's like, you know what, screw this. I ain't working with this. I'm not even going to communicate with them. So agents have this belief for some reason that their job is to be, you have one side and you have the other side. That's not the case. You have a buyer and you have a seller. The connection point is the two real estate agents.
Yeah.
They need to work together. We have a buyer that wants to buy. We have a seller that wants to sell. And our job as agents is to create the connection point.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're the communication point. Now, if it doesn't work out, it shouldn't be because of these two people.
Right.
It shouldn't be because of the agent. It shouldn't be because of the other agent. Oh, period.
All right. Hey, guys, we are going to come right back. We're going to go to a quick break, but we will be right back, and we're looking forward to talking and hearing some more of what you got to say. I'm excited. Yeah. All right, stay tuned.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Serving Johnson County, Texas. Joco Community Radio.
Home, a place where I can go.
All right.
Take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home. Home, a place where I can go. Take this off my shoulders. Someone take me home.
All right. Thank you guys. Welcome back. Emergencies can happen. And when it comes to your roof, time is of the essence. Whether it's a leak, a storm, or an insurance claim, the High and Tight Roofing team provides top-notch roofing services that guarantee your peace of mind. They understand how important your home is to you, which is why they always go the extra mile to ensure your roofing needs are met with precision and care. Give them a call at 682-444-1399. Again, that's 682-444-1399. Let's do it right. Choose High and Tight for all your roofing needs.
That's a killer name.
Isn't it?
Can I just say that? Like,
yes.
We're high and tight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that some guy in a freaking like military uniform is out there like, get it done now.
And that's true. He's veteran. He is a veteran. It's a veteran-owned business.
There's no excuses.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only results.
Oh, he is so like that too.
Yeah,
He's great.
right on.
He is great.
That's so funny.
All right. So then our next sponsor, which I definitely want to shout out to both of my sponsors. I really appreciate you guys so much. ZVU Inspections. So the process of buying and selling, are you in the process of buying or selling a home? Be sure you have all the information you need with a professional home inspection from ZVU Inspections. Their team of licensed and certified inspectors provide comprehensive and thorough inspections that leave no stone unturned. We understand that buying or selling a home can be a stressful process, which is why we make it our mission to provide you with a peace of mind you deserve. Don't take any chances when it comes to your home. Trust the experts at ZVU Inspections to provide you with the information you need to make an informed decision. Inspect before you invest with ZVU Inspections. Contact us today at 682-587-9651. Again, that's 682-587-9651 to schedule your inspection. Evenings and short notice are also available, guys. So make sure to reach out to them. They are awesome. All right, we are back. Thank you guys for staying tuned while we were on a quick little break there. All right, so let's go where we left off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We were talking about the communication between a listing agent and a buying agent.
So here's the number one thing that I truly believe this. And if agents can get this and clients, you need to be aware that your agent needs to do this.
Yeah.
Your agent needs to be a proponent, first of all, for you.
Yes.
Because we are fiduciary to you. And a fiduciary is a very important name. Fiduciary means that our financial interests mean $0. Your interest, your financial interest is of the first concern, 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
We have to protect what you want us to protect up to the legality of that, but also understand that we have to communicate with the other agent anything that is of material value. In other words, if there's something about that house that we know is wrong, even if you don't want us to tell them, right, we have to tell them.
Yeah.
That's what a fiduciary does. It goes back to character and integrity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that most agents get into this war of us versus them, which is not the case. I can negotiate with you and Diane, we can have an absolute like negotiation that's horrible. It's like, well, they're only going to pay $220 for the house. And you're like, listen, they can't take more than, less than $280. Yeah, I understand. Like that can be done in a nice way.
Yeah.
First of all, you can say, well, Jason, look, you and I both know that house is not worth that.
Mm-hmm.
And the buyers need to know that. And I'm going to say, look, whether they want to know that or not, that's the offer that they're going to make.
Yeah.
And then you got to say, okay, well, I'll take it to the sellers, but I'm telling you, they ain't going to like it. And I'm going to say, I know. But that communication line, as offensive as that obviously is, to me, to be honest with you, that's not fun as a buyer's agent to bring.
Yeah, and I was laughing because I've heard it before. So good.
Sure. And you're like, come on, God, you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
But listen, we're in the same boat.
Right.
I'm sorry I'm bringing this to you. I might not say that.
Right.
But this is what they're offering.
Yeah.
I'm not against you, Diane. And you're not against me by saying, look, I ain't going to take less than 280, buddy. You're out of line.
Right. So would that be the way that you would want to say it?
No, here's how the communication needs to go. Hey, Diane, look, I've got an offer. I know it's not ideal. And look, I've already talked with my buyers. Here's the reasons why they feel that this house is worth this amount. Now, all I'm asking you to do is take it to your sellers. I know they want a certain amount for it. But it looks like 220 is the number. And I would hope that you'd come back and say, well, Jason, let's get real here. I'm not trying to offend you, but are you sure you want them to take that? I mean, I'll take it to them because that's what I'm required to do.
Right.
But if I bring this to them and they get offended, they may not come back with anything. Yeah, I've already talked to my buyers. This is what they want to do. Okay. And then you take it back to him and I call 3 days later. Hey, did you talk to your people? Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of them. I did tell them the number, but they haven't responded back.
Yeah.
That's just the communication line.
Yeah.
But what happens a lot of times is this. Yeah, your house is only worth $220,000. Excuse me? Yeah, the house isn't worth what you're asking. It's ridiculous what you're asking for that thing. You're not going to get that. What? Look, this house is worth more than 280. They're willing to come down to 280, and you're out of line for even offering that. Who are you to ask? Who are your buyers? What is wrong with your buyers that they would think that?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the conversation. I've had this a lot.
Yes.
And you can think that. You're okay. It's okay to think that.
Right.
It's not okay to communicate that. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so that person may be offering 220, but be willing to pay 260. And you know full well that they're willing to take 255 for it. So if you go off on somebody who is a potential buyer, you've not done a service to your sellers or to your buyers.
Right.
Get the emotion out of the situation. Attorneys do this every single day. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are attorneys that represent reprehensible people.
Yeah.
And they take the emotion out of it. Why? Because it's their job to represent them.
Right.
And those are people that they don't necessarily want to represent, but they have to have representation.
Yes. Yes. True.
You see?
Yeah.
So every day attorneys do this. And if attorneys can do it, why can't we?
True. That's very true.
So that's what I want. I want real estate agents to know that we can work together for the common good while representing our particular sides the very best we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
There doesn't have to be a fight.
No.
In fact, the fight is what typically ruins the deal, not the numbers.
Yeah, true.
It's the fight. You were talking earlier about another pinpoint of that I see a lot of is the swapping lenders thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm. I don't understand that. That's like in the 10 commandments of buying. I like to use that a lot.
Yeah. So here's the thing. As agents, it's our job to tell our buyers, hey guys, you need to know where you need to be. Changing lenders in the middle can literally ruin a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we still have to represent them, even if that's what they want to do.
That is true.
That's not a fun place to be.
No.
But communicating that to the other agent can be like this. Guys, look, I communicated with them. This is what they wanted to do. I told them that we didn't want to do this in the middle. Here's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can't make that adjustment, we understand and we have to walk away.
Right.
But I'm going to tell my buyers beforehand, look, if they can walk away, if you change lenders, because you've changed the plan here.
Yeah.
So I think it's important just to make sure that we communicate better with our buyers and sellers prior to these things going live.
I agree.
Tell your buyers, hey, it's going to take anywhere from 8 to 12 houses on average to buy. It will.
Yep.
You need this much money down before I'm going to show you houses. Do you know that's the number one thing I hear all the time? I showed them 12 houses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have the money to close. Well, why didn't you have that conversation with them the first time?
Right. I had an agent that told me that she shows the first house before talking to them and communicating if they even have a pre-approval.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Now, I'll tell you this. It's okay. Like the first couple, you can do 2.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're trying to, especially with cold leads, things like that.
Yeah.
But I usually like to have that conversation. Do you at least have the money to close? Listen, if you don't have the money to close, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation where I'm like, hey guys, so closing costs are going to be around $15,000 for that price point.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to use one of those 0 down loans. And there's just an uncomfortable silence. Like, I'm not going to do it now because radio silence is terrible, but it's just that uncomfortable silence is like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't have to put anything down. You're still going to need $15,000 to close this out.
Yeah.
You still need it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you're doing a VA loan, a lot of people don't know that. It's like, you have VA service fees. So you don't have to put any money down on the house, but you have VA service fees, and then you still have to pay the closing costs that go along with any transaction.
Absolutely.
So it's still going to be $12,000 to $15,000.
Yep.
And people don't think about it.
No, they don't. And I do think that that's ideal. And I think that's very important. I do want to hear, okay, so you said that it is okay to show a couple of houses, whether they're pre-approved or not. I have always felt a little differently on that because I want to make sure that we're looking at homes they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that we're looking at how, because like if I take a potential buyer to a house that's way over what they're actually able to, afford,
mm-hmm.
then I have just taken them to see a house that they can't afford, and then I got to take them to houses that they can't afford that could be detrimental to them.
Well, you can have a conversation with what they're able to afford without getting a pre-approval.
Right.
How much are you willing to pay a month?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, if they say, and I hear this all the time, I want to buy a $350,000 or $400,000 home. Perfect. How much do you want to pay a month? $1,500. I had that Friday.
Aye.
So how much are you going to put down? $80,000. We're not going to get there.
Mm-mm.
What? We're not going to get there. We can't even start. You're going to have to put down $150,000.
Right. Ugh.
So that happens all the time.
It really does. And again, I mean, and okay, so I like that. I haven't really thought to really utilize that so much because I try to stay in my lane when it comes to like the lending side of it, even though like I understand and I know, but I don't know what their credit score looks like. I don't know what their debt to income looks like, and that's not my lane. So that's why a lot of times for me, I've always went and just said, hey, I'm going to send you a couple of lenders. Go ahead and reach out to them, see which one, you feel would be a good fit for you and your family in order to discover, where we can be in this process, where we need to start looking, and then we can start searching and we can start looking at homes. And that's kind of how I go about it, just because I I know they know more about what's going to be happening with that than me.
It's certainly better, but I think a lot of times, so for those of you that may be listening that aren't familiar with the real estate agent process, it's hard to get somebody to do business with you because there are so many people that are in this business.
That's
and
true.
So a lot of times we use lead sourcing, whether it be someone like Realtor or Zillow or Ramsey or whatever to get us more business. And in those marketplaces, these are leads that don't know us.
Right.
And we're trying to get them to know us. And the easiest way for us to do that is getting face to face. 80% of the time, if you're able to get one-on-one with a buyer or seller, you're going to get an opportunity to do business with them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that we do show on that first showing. And that's why they're so adamant about making sure you go and see that person, because it's going to almost solidify the opportunity. So that's why I say it's okay. So if you're a real estate agent and you're like, well, I don't want to go show a house that it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
It's not the house. You're not showing the house, you're showing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
And
I
if
see
you
that.
go with that mindset of, hey, the first house or two, I'm showing off me.
Yeah.
If they haven't gotten their lender approval by that third house, they're probably not going to.
Right.
And you're wasting your time.
Okay. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I like that. I think that's a good way of putting it and viewing it too. And, I think that's why we, as agents, I feel like we do need to be able to communicate with each other, because we need to learn from each other too. We're always, somebody's doing something different that's working for them that could work for you. Right. But you don't know unless you unless you actually get to know the other agents and get curious.
I put it in, again, I'm a foodie and I love to cook. And take any restaurant. I love going to Hurtado Barbecue. You ever been to Hurtado?
I have not. No.
Phenomenal, like Mexican. So these guys, they're all Hispanic heritage and they're making this incredible barbecue. But they have birria tacos there and they're amazing. Their sausage is incredible. Now, I can make a birria taco. Right. I can all day long. I can go look up the recipe. You could tell me the recipe. And I'm still going to go to Hurtado. Why? Because Hurtado makes it better.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So as agents, we have to understand, yes, there are things that we know.
Right.
And I don't care if I told you 1,000 times, like my TikTok and all the freaking editing I do on Premiere Pro, you're not going to do exactly the same.
No.
Even if I showed you exactly how. And you may not even do it at all.
Right.
So the secret, and trust me, your secret that you think you have, there are a million other people doing that exact same thing all around you. You are not the first. You are not original. You are not the first.
Right.
So if you're not the first, why try to be the last?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Only thing you're going to do is make enemies. Look, we're only on this planet for so long.
Yep.
None of us get out. We're all going out the same way, in a coffin or a tiny box.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you hold everything in, you're not doing a service to anybody. You can't sell every house in the whole area. There's no way.
No.
If you and I had all the business and nobody else had the business in real estate, we couldn't keep up.
No.
There's no way.
There is no way.
So here's my question to you then. If we can't do it all, and we want to have good relationships with other agents, why are we holding in the best part and keeping it from people who could represent those other people? Those aren't my people.
Yeah.
If God wanted me to have those people, he'd give them to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are specifically designed, and that's something else that real estate agents are like, I don't even know why I'm even getting. Listen, you are specifically designed for the people that you represent.
Yes.
I was specifically designed for the people that I represent. And the quicker we get to the point where you say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and work my hardest. We're going to compete.
Yeah.
And then those people are going to choose the best agent. Period. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be the best agent I can be. You're going to be the best agent you could be. And at the end of the day, then it comes down to personality.
Yeah.
Do they like Jason, who's kind of a bit of an a-hole? Or do they like Diane because she's super sweet and,
Bagley?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm not the sweetest guy in the world. I'm fun to be around. I love to have fun. I love to joke around.
Yes.
So if you like to go, look at houses and us make jokes about the paint color or whatever, we can do that all day long.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
But, and some people, they're like, look, I need somebody serious about this. I'm not your guy. I'm going to make jokes the whole time.
Yes.
They're going to be dad jokes. They're going to be awful.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Because I think that life is too short to not to have fun.
I agree with you 100% on that, and that's why I like to bring my fun and myself into my deals. But I do like what you said. And I do feel like we definitely need to take that more into consideration about not allowing our emotions to take away from our fiduciary duty to our clients.
So do you have agents that listen to your show?
I hope so.
Okay. So there's two sides. There's the agents and then there's non-agents, right?
Yes. Yes.
So let me ask you this question. What is your why? Why are you in this industry?
I love helping people.
Okay. But what does that look like to you?
I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. And I love to see them accomplish, feel like they have the perfect home to go home to, because that's important. It's important to feel safe and feel welcome in your own home. And I want that for myself. So why would I not want that for somebody else?
Absolutely. And so you're going to attract people that are looking for someone that is doing that.
Yeah.
And so for me, if you were to ask me that same question, I would say, look, my job is to create a financial bubble for the people that come underneath me. I understand that if you go and buy a mobile home, that thing's going to devalue over time. Yeah. And I'm going to try everything I can to tell you not to do that. And here's why. I'm going to give you 3,000 reasons why you shouldn't buy a mobile home. Now, if that's not for you, I'm probably not your guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not bubbly. You don't feel warm and fuzzy with the stuff that I say. But at the end of the day, I'm going to love on you. I'm going to talk about Christ the whole time that I'm going to be praying. I prayed for a house for you guys today. If that's not your thing, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It is. Yes.
I don't care who you are. I'm going to take care of you. Just know that this is who I am.
Yes.
I'm going to make the jokes. I'm going to say I prayed for you last night. I'm going to say these things because that's who I am. But most important to me is that you guys, whoever it is, no matter your walk of faith, no matter where you are in life, is that you end up in a safe place where you have a good investment. And I think that's why I end up in so much commercial stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It just happens that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love, and that is that we all do have, each agent does have a different perception or different view of why they are in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that is why we are, and we end up with those that we work with, that we end up working with.
Yeah.
So, and how do you feel about when you do have somebody? How much time? Okay,
good.
We have a little bit of time. So how do you feel about when you work with somebody that, maybe you're not connecting with, or they're not connecting with you? How do you feel when you're working with either a buyer or seller on that matter? Like, what do you do then?
I try to have communication lines with them. Hey, look, guys, I'm not sure this is, I don't know if I'm your guy.
Right.
And I might have that. If I feel that at the beginning, I might say, look, here's where I'm at and here's where we're going.
Yeah.
If that's not a good fit for you, I totally understand. And I've been fired by clients because of my personality. And I have fired clients because of my personality. Have you ever fired a client yet?
I have.
Okay. And what was your reason for firing them?
They just could not grasp where they were and what they could accomplish.
So that's about 95% of most reasons why agents fire clients.
Yeah.
I rarely fire a client because of personality.
Yeah.
And here's why. I can work with anybody.
Absolutely.
But not everybody can work with me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%.
So, and I take into account, someone of a completely different faith.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no problem because everybody has to have somewhere to live. And if you, as I consider myself as a Christian, I don't care what your faith, what your situation, who you believe, what you believe, who you love, who you don't love, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You still have to have a place to live. You need to have safety and you need to be able to be taken care of. And you need to have somebody who's going to care about you, whether you have the same priorities or not when it comes to our belief structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But someone from another belief structure may look at me and go, well, he believes that way and I don't believe that way. And that's not okay. And you know what? that's fine.
Right.
That is okay.
That is okay.
Because there's somebody out there that specializes in exactly the type of person you are. And that's what we have to love about our industry, is that everybody has somebody to go to.
Yeah.
So people make fun of us, like, oh, you spit and you'll hit 3 realtors. Yeah. How many will you hit that you'll do business with?
Yep. Exactly.
Who are you doing business with? People who listen to you, Diane, are people that care about you, who want to do business with you. I could sit on here, I could spit every freaking truth in the world, and they're going to be like, who's that dude? Right?
Right.
And you know what? That's a good thing.
It is.
It's a good thing. At the end of the day, though, should I get mad? Be like, oh, I can't get any business. No. I don't understand why. Why do they get 100 transactions a year and I only get 12?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody says it in the industry, by the way, for those you don't know.
They do.
Absolutely.
And I've never understood that, because I'm always willing to help somebody else out.
Oh, I hate it. Are you kidding me? When somebody gets 100 and I don't get 100, I'm super pissed. I'm like, what is going on? Right?
But I don't blame them.
No, it's not their fault.
It's not. It's my fault.
Step up your game, girl.
Exactly.
Look, if I look at, and this, oh my gosh, if I could tell you the number of times I heard somebody, well, they've gotten enough. Oh my Lord.
Really?
You stop winning.
Yeah.
Go move to a third world country and say, I'm just tired of winning. I just hate it. This having air conditioning is too much. You know, I got to get rid of it. So yeah, we have to, as a society, this is not just real estate related.
It's not.
Diane.
It's not.
We have to understand. Stop looking at everybody else and going, why do they have and why I don't have? Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? I have a special purpose on this planet. You have a special purpose on this planet. I have a special purpose on this planet. And the people that God's going to bring into your life are not going to be the same people.
No.
And we have to serve the people that are put in front of us. And if we do that one at a time and we do it well, we'll get more.
That's right.
That's just the way it is.
That is the way it is. Absolutely.
Now, you may never get 100 transactions a year. It may never happen. Or you'll get 300.
Yeah.
Or you'll change jobs altogether. But at the end of the day, we as people need to understand that we're on a path and it's only ours.
Yeah.
But if we work together, we're going to be okay.
That's right. I agree with that 100%. And I feel that's how it needs to be, and more addressed and more looked at. So, all right. Well, I am so grateful that you came on the show.
Sure.
And I know that the people that were listening, I hope that they really got a lot out of this, because I know I did. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on today. Of course.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Until next week, guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain